compared to last year to 2023, the amount of women going into senior positions was actually decreasing. So why is that happening? Especially, being in 2023, that's something that, promoting ethnic diversity or promoting inclusion, that's something that should only be going up.
There's just not enough visibility about the industry, so it's going out there and talking to people and letting them know that this is a profession that people can do, it's accessible.
I think it's important to find out about the job before you commit to it, and to make sure that it is something you really want to do.
Yeah.
If you sort of take those precautions, I think you move ahead.
Yeah, I think it's showing them, especially for women, if you can see it, you can be it. So it's showing them what the job entails. As you mentioned, a lot of people think, it's just on site, you're not getting involved within cost management work within the office. So it's showing them the opportunity that they have access to different aspects of the job, and showing them what they're capable to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, that if you can see it, you can be it. There's just not enough visibility about the industry, so it's going out there and talking to people and letting them know that this is a profession that people can do, it's accessible, and it's available to everyone who's interested.
Yeah.
I do think that there's still a part to play, though, in bringing women in and other minorities into the industry. I do wonder if the RICS has a bigger part to play in this, almost sort of walking the talk a little bit. Just as you might not be at this stage yet, but just as I have to complete some CPD work on ethics and values every couple of years with the RICS, I think diversity ought to slot in there as well. Maybe on the alternate years, but just to make sure that people understand what the issues are and how it could be made easier to be able to move forward.
And just touching on the ethnic diversity, I think it's really important to kind of show women coming from an Asian background. It wasn't told to me that, construction is an industry that you can go into. It's kind of, I wouldn't say frowned upon, but it's looked at as though that's a man's job, that's not something that you're going to. Again, being the construction economist, I can attend site at times, but also it's office-based jobs. But I think it's how can we raise awareness and show women that you can go into these industries, not just a male-dominated industry. You've got access to becoming a QS, cost manager, project manager, economist, work in the digital team. So I think it's kind of, emphasising that point.
I have to say that has definitely changed in the last, speaking just for the Leeds office in particular, that's changed in the last 3 years, because I know when I came in and I started as a graduate, there was only myself and maybe 1 or 2 other females in the team, and I was the youngest on the team. I think it's intimidating going into that sort of environment, and I wonder if that's one of the things that puts women off from coming in. But like Ruby said, the team has grown. There's been such a push on having a diverse workforce, because I think that's so important. You'll never get diverse ideas and different thought streams if you don't have different people in the room having those conversations. So I think it is really important that we get more women in industry, we get more people from ethnic diverse backgrounds in the industry, so that we can have people in the room having different conversations and getting different ideas coming out at the end of it.
I think we need more senior roles as well. I know I'm not a believer of recruiting just because that person's from a certain group. I want people to earn the right to that place, but I don't want there to be barriers that actually stop women, Asian, any other ethnic minority actually being considered for that job, which I think does still happen.
No, it's true. Just to add on to that, I actually wrote an article with CM Magazine, which got published today, It's a focus on women from ethnic minorities within construction. And one of the statistics that I found were that women in the construction industry, from compared to last year to 2023, the amount of women going into senior positions was actually decreasing. So why is that happening? Especially, being in 2023, that's something that promoting ethnic diversity, promoting inclusion, that's something that should only be going up. So I think there's a lot of work to be done around there. We've got the issue of women coming into the industry, but that we've got women that know about the industry but still don't want to come in. Maybe lack of PPE, knowing that you don't get promoted in senior roles. So there's a whole other aspect to target in the industry.
I mean, I've been very fortunate in that I've achieved the position I've achieved. I'm still working. I've not been made to retire. I mean, you can't make people retire these days, but I've not been put in a position of feeling uncomfortable and needing to be out of the business. But I certainly don't go shinning up ladders at my age. There's plenty to do. But the company I work for has been very good in that respect. And, they have offered flexible working, which is obviously important to a young woman who may be thinking of having a family. And yes, it ought to be something that's equally shared between partners, but I still think a lot of it falls on the woman in a relationship to make the adjustments to bring up a family.
Yeah, I think women still are taking on a lot of the invisible labour at home. And do you think maybe that's something that's impacting them? Maybe women are taking career breaks like you did and then just not returning because of pressures at home or pressures about, feeling that they're going to be falling behind when they come back from that career break.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I took a career break. I ideally wish that I could have carried on a certain amount of my work, but it just wasn't possible at the time. I think I objected when I finally came back to work that I had to fall down 2 or 3 points on the salary scale because of the time I'd off. And I sort of spent a couple of years virtually proving myself again, that I could actually do this job. But yeah, I think people need to be aware of things like that when they're thinking about a career break. And I would advise anybody in that position to try and keep working, even if it's only a few hours a week, just to keep your hand in virtually and, and be able to prove that you're up to date with all the developments that are going on. And I don't think it should be like that, but it's a fact of life. That is the way it is.
When you say that you had to prove yourself, do you think that is there any point in that time where you just thought, oh no, I've had enough, like I've just proved myself before in my career, and that just because I've decided to take a break, was there ever a point that you thought, I don't want to do this anymore, that I do want to?
No, I don't think so, because I actually was out of the industry for about full-time for about 8 years, but I was running a national charity as well at the time, and just after the children were, sort of 2, I started working again part-time, and I came to the point where I had to make a decision as to whether I was going full-time with the charity or full-time quantity surveying, and that's what I wanted. That was my first love. I wanted to be there and moved on with it. So it was just another hiccups I had to face right from the beginning. And I suppose at first it was a bit, I can't do this, it's too much for me. When, right at the beginning when I was at college. But I've got stubbornness in me that said, I'm not going to let them beat me. I'm going to get on with this.
Yeah.
And that's stayed with me right the way through.
So have you got any advice for us as early in our career, and you've had such a long and wonderful career? Have you got any advice that you can stoke on us?
My mum always used to say to me, you can't have everything. You're looking tired, just what you need to pick you up. You can't have everything. And I think if she was still alive today, I'd be saying to her, yes, you can, if you want it badly enough and you're prepared to work hard for it. And everybody always needs the money they get paid. But if I could have afforded not to be paid, I wouldn't have worried about it. I just wanted to do the job. And I think it's that love of it that's kept me going. Why I'm still working now.
Yeah. When you said that, like, you sort of a bit stubborn, is there sort of any other characteristics you think that is like worth us sort of channeling early on in our career?
I think you've got to be prepared to speak up.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes you almost get sat upon or talked over and things like that. And I think you have to be a bit persistent. Mm-hmm. And I've never been in a position of, I want to be better than those people. I just wanted to prove that I could do the job. I mean, when I started, it wasn't a case of equal pay and things like that. It was just being allowed to do the job. You know, girls didn't do this sort of thing. So I was fighting for that. And all I ever wanted to prove was that I could do as good a job as they did. And some men didn't like it.
I'm sure you've managed to prove to everyone that you've managed to do a good job.
Yeah, I think there's still a few people around that grumble about it. They used to talk to me about, did I think it was fair that I was earning a man's wage and depriving a man of his income to look after his family.
So it sort of seemed more so as like a man's wage rather than the wage for that job, that role.
Yeah.
It was more seen that you weren't as deserving of that money as someone else, even though you'd probably put in as much or more effort into the job.
Do you think that still happens now as well?
I don't think it's as bad. I think people are more accepting that this is a job that's done by women as well as men. But it was a different world back in the 70s. You know, at that time, I couldn't have gone into a pub and ordered a drink at a bar because the landlord could legally refuse to serve me. I needed a man there to buy me a drink. And I couldn't open a bank account without a man signing the application for me. I couldn't pay my maintenance grants from college in until I got my dad to fill in the forms for me. You know, very different world.
Yeah.
There were very set roles for women and men. And that is, fortunately, very different now.